moving from me to we.
Right.
Moving to that kind of an environment. I remember when my youngest daughter, and she's grown now, but I still remember her when she was a little kid watching all of those commercials that come on. They seem to start October 31st, although now it's earlier, and they run through beyond the holidays. And of course, her birthday is right after the Christmas holiday. So she gets a lot of the stuff that was returned. I've always thought that about January babies. But she would sit there as a 2-year-old and watch the commercial and say, she wants that, she wants that, she wants that.
Right.
And I would sit there and say, who is she?
Yeah.
And she would say, she is me. Well, then it is about me, right?
Right.
I've got to do it if it's going to happen. Go on, Dina.
No, but I think it's so important. And, I want to go back to, something that's really important, because people are not going to feel safe or empowered unless we create the environment. And it seems to be it's very difficult. And I'd love for you to speak to, what do people need to be trying to do to create the environment so that they can, step into that confidence of creating change.
Right. Well, I think I'm a huge proponent in the American Association of Critical Care Nurses Healthy Work Environment Standards. Obviously I have a bias being, former president of the organization, but that work is just seminal because it really outlined those 6 standards. And I think, there's 2 key standards from my personal opinion. One is the communication. I say frequently that, we've been talking since we were, less than a year old, essentially, but it's the one skill that we all struggle with the most. And it's one of those skills that we don't specifically train nurses on. We focus on the hard skills, how to put in a balloon pump, how to insert an IV, all those kind of skills, but we forget about the relational connection education that nurses need, how to communicate and how to be effective in that. The second aspect, or the second standard that I focus on most, is the authentic leadership. And what is that role of that authentic leader? And I think, that role of the authentic leader is not to be the authority, but also to embrace and encourage everybody that's involved in the team to be involved in that conversation and that decision making.
Yeah, so you hit on a couple things, and I was writing some notes down because it's so important. What I hear a lot of women struggle with all over the world, and Sharon and I heard this, as we were going through the pandemic, is just women lack that confidence in being able to step in and speak, and they really kind of lack some of that how. How do we do this, right? It all sounds great. We want to move things, but we're seeing things have really kind of stalled out for a very long time. And what is it going to take for that authentic leadership to really stop and say, what is it that we need to do to create that confidence?
Right. Well, and so many people, so many times, and you guys are clearly the expert on this, but if you have a confident woman speaking, sometimes they get a bad rap too. And so how do you balance that communication and become that confident, female leader and not get tagged with some of the lovely terms that we can be tagged with as women?
Right.
So,
right. How do you showcase the leader without the label?